10 players entered the fray. We are down to the final 2. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the OSL Season 2 Grand Finals. I am Quirky, and joining me is the best ever co-caster I could ever ask for. It is, of course, Swami. Swami, how are you today?
Fantastic, mate. Just weathering the heat down here in sunny Melbourne. Not sure what it's like up for you there in Mactown, but I assume it's pretty humid. Tell you what, though, there's nothing better to cool us down than some quality Broodwar between two of honestly the best Broodwar players in Australia right now. I'm pretty excited. I mean, what else? What can you say except for the fact that when you look at this through the lens of, you know, who might be an underdog, who might be the preference. I mean, you've got Kinetic, who's just an unbelievable Zerg player, and then think about it, Neblime's actually coming off a win from the OSL Season 1. I'd love to know what you think's going to happen.
To be honest, it could go either way, but I know we are going to be in for some bangers of some games. So, guys, share the stream around. Get ready and get hyped. It's a best of 7. And first map, of course, is going to be Shakura's Temple. A map we haven't really seen in competitive play for a little bit. But pretty much, it is... I love it. I'm not sure why people hated it. But anyway, we are getting into game 1 now. And spawning here in the top left, the Red Terran from Australia. Give it up for Neblime.
Yeah, give us some support in the chat for Neblime, folks. He's made it through some hard competition to get here. If you're rooting for Neblime, make sure you show him the support. In the bottom right-hand corner down here, the what would you call that? The olive. Kinetic's chosen that color just for me, by the way. But it is Kinetic, our amazing Terran Zerg. Sorry, not Terran Zerg, Australian Zerg. He's you'd have to say the favorite, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it's a slight favorite, I would think.
Well, let's talk about it. So, Kinetic, he's been able to make it easily into the A region of the ladder for the past few seasons in a row, and that's no easy feat. And it's not just, you know, placing 5 games, getting lucky and getting into A. He grinds it. We know what he can do. When the ladder opens up each time, he gets up there pretty quickly. But Neblime, you know, he's been putting in the work every time I log in. You know, Neblime is there. He's getting the games under his belt. So it's going to be. I'm just looking forward to the quality of the games that I think we're going to have. It's a best of 7, so you know, I'm sure both players know what that means. When you have a best of 7, you've got to have a full toolkit. So, what do you think as far as Kinetic's actual play style, Quirky?
I think, you know, it's pretty standard macro, but there is a chance we might see, you know, a cheeky 9 pull speed maybe thrown in. Yep. Maybe, you know, in the spirit of bugs, you know, he goes for a cheeky 5 pull. But not this case, it is going to be 12 hatch coming in. And Kinetic is going to get the first scout here with that Overlord.
Yes, he is. And, you know, I've had this discussion with Kinetic a few times. He likes sending the Overlord in the direction of the main. He doesn't like the opponent to have that chance to, you know, duck an SCV into that path, the more predictable path of the Overlord, and try and get an easy bit of scouting information that way. But we see, obviously, from Neblime, you know, pretty standard sort of build order as well. So both players looking like they're pretty content to just keep it relatively normal within the parameters of your everyday bread and butter Broodwar.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a question here from Rabbit Roo, 1986. He's asking what the map is. This is Shakura's Plateau. I believe this was in the map pool about 2 seasons ago, if my memory serves, which in Broodwar seasons, obviously...
so 4 years ago.
It's exactly right. So at the rate that we go through Broodwar seasons, given it was 2 seasons ago, yeah, long time. Good to see you in the chat there, Hawk, as well. Guys, pay attention to what this man says. He's a very knowledgeable Zerg player. He reckons that Shakura's Temple is very T-favoured. Now, I didn't get to play a lot of games on this map because I didn't play a lot in that season. But if I was to imagine why Hawk might be saying that, I'd probably be lost, if I'm honest with you. Certainly not going to try and challenge someone of his caliber. But we've got the SCV in there causing a little bit of a nuisance for Kinetic. He's obviously going to try and kill that SCV. It's really, really good if you can get rid of that scout early on as Zerg to sort of force Terran into a situation where they have to be guessing, am I coming up against the Den or am I coming up against the Spire? Very, very useful to be able to do that. But, Neblime's not going to let his SCV die that easy.
And plus, also 21 CC, so Neb is playing this as safe as he can be. Third hatch going down as well for Kinetic. And we're about, I want to say, if our lovely observer can click onto that. Actually, 4 Marine move out here.
Yeah, he wants to make sure that Kinetic can't quite get away with, making absolutely 0 Sunkens or at least just forcing some extra lings out. This is a build that Kinetic's been doing a lot lately. He likes to get that sort of 2.5 hatch Spire timing. So, but having said that, we haven't seen, is the Spire down yet? I'm not quite sure. But these Marines really, disturbing Kinetic. Zerg really wants that smooth opening. They don't want too much disruption. And Neb understands this. And by applying this pressure, now we've all of a sudden got, 8 lings from Kinetic. So not what Kinetic wants. And it's easy enough for Terran to pull back. And these lings aren't going to be a threat. But the disruption to Zerg, they really feel it.
Well, Academy going down now for Neb. So he's pretty much good standard play coming in from both these players. It is looking to be, standard meter into play, but honestly, when Kinetic wants to take that third hatch, pretty sure that's Spire going down now. Should be about almost finished.
Yep. And we can see that the second gas is online, everything going relatively as planned for Kinetic, if you discount the fact that he had to make those lings. The eBay's coming down a little bit late. That's deliberate. I only mean that it's late relative to like a 2-hatch response where you would get the eBay around, a bit before 5 minutes. But Neb, adequately sort of examining the situation, he understands that the Spy comes a little bit later for this build, so he's going to get his eBay a little bit later. So that's fine. He doesn't need the turrets quite so quickly. And what I think we'll probably see is that Neb will put a couple of turrets down around his main CC, a couple of turrets around the barracks, and we'll probably see about 3 or 4 around the natural. But if I had to guess, I'd say that the mutas are probably going to enter through the main, given that's the easiest path. And another SCV got into the main, so absolutely 0 question marks over the state of the game for Neb. That makes it a lot more comfortable for the Terran.
Yeah, good placement of the scouting here from Neb, and now moving out with his first couple of Marines and Medics. Stim is done now, so... But now, that high ground, it's so terrible for the Terran there. Now, year to micro, going to be absolutely just devastating.
It's become quite a hallmark for Kinetic. He's been really working on his muta micro for a long time, and by this point, it's just shelling piece for him. Neb, although his position is, Kinetic has to really be aware of this positioning, how quickly he can get to Kinetic's natural, and sure enough, you see him respecting it as he should. He doesn't want to end up with that army on his doorstep if his mutas are at Neb's main. So, but Kinetic, I've seen him do this before. When he sees this threat, he will usually back off, get a bunch more muta, get a few extra lings, and try and get a surround on the army. Okay, he likes his chances. He likes his chances with the few extra lings he's got here, but pretty well handled there by Neb. But that's okay. Kinetic was focusing on mostly just getting what extra damage he could with the lings, sort of absorbing some damage there while getting some pickoffs with the mutas. So everything's sort of balancing out there.
Yeah, string of Olive on the map there. Still no third base getting taken by Kinetic at this moment. So
I think we do see the drone going down to the bottom right. I believe that's going
to be... was an Overlord. Yep, there it is. Yeah, it is a drone.
Might be. Yeah, it is a drone. There we go. So pretty standard timing, and it's no surprise in that case that we see a unit on the bottom left of the map out there for Ned. This is a good time to send something out just to be able to try and identify where that third base is going down. Now, Neblime caught out with his Marine positioning here. You want to move your Marines sort of in sync with where the mutas are. It can be difficult at times if the mutas are, out of your vision for a bit. You never know where they're going to pop in. I like to keep them at the top of the ramp. Lets you defend your barracks from exactly these types of attacks.
Ooh.
Few mutas going down.
Not good for Kinetic there, but still that's enough to be a pain. And another one going down. Neb on top of it.
Yeah. And it gets to the point sometimes where there's so many mutalisks, and maybe sometimes you don't have quite this many Marines, and you feel like you're busier than a one-armed bricklayer in Baghdad. But at this point, he's got that many Marines, he can be relatively comfortable. Gets the turrets back up. He's not in any threat of getting some, critical.
Yeah, these meters are just going to be annoying. Is that a hydrogen in the main of Connect? There's meters are being a bit of a problem. So yep, it is.
Down.
Yep. Yeah, so we are transitioning into standard late game TVZ here. Nothing really special. I thought we might have seen a Valkyrie build coming out from Neb. I know he has been practicing that a bit, but he has gone to standard 4 accents to starport.
That's right. I mean, he just seems to be really solid, and he's just focusing on himself. He's hitting his build. He's just focusing on some stability here. Meanwhile, I noticed Kinetic's base center, there's a lot of unused lava. I'm not a Zerg expert, but you usually want to be using your lava, and he needs the important thing at this point, I feel from the Zerg's perspective, is he needs to get some Hydralisks down to that bottom right base so that he can morph them into lurkers. Neb's going to have an option here. There's a window where he's going to hit a little bit of a power spike, and when you get that, if you don't have lurkers to defend bottom right in that scenario, it's just going to die. So we'll see what happens. Presumably that's the reason why the den exists. So we've got a hive coming in. So could it be fast? Is he going for a fast dark swarm?
Sasuke, if I can ask, can I see what the upgrades are for Zerg, please? Okay. So we've got +1 on the mutas, and that loses a meter there. And just +1 armor for the Marines. Huh. No.
So that's interesting. I suppose usually if you get +1 armor with your Marines, you're looking to be more resilient against the lurker shots. So, interesting. That will absolutely come into play now that we've just seen these, 6 lurkers finish morphing for Kinetic. And look, it looks like Kinetic's going to try and go for the backstab. So we'll see how Neb responds to this. Once they get in position and they're burrowed, it can be very, very difficult to deal with. You don't have tanks at this point. We obviously still dealing with the 2 starports, but wow. Bunker holding pretty well, but that's a lot of lurkers. So these Marines are getting shredded. This is looking really dangerous for Neb.
Yeah, those lurkers getting burrowed, but here comes Science Vessels and the Marines from the back, and Brigades going down, but there's only 2 at this point. Right now, this is looking a little bit dangerous here for Neb, as that 1 lurker will finally go down. But what can you do here? It's 4 lurkers and just gonna shred your natural base. Natural's forced to lift up. There's more lings on the way here from Kinetic, but only 4 Marines and a lot of medics. And the medics are out of position to even heal those out of Marines, so they have to go back. Kinetic looking very, very strong here in game 1.
Perhaps a bit of map awareness blunder there from Neb. I'm sure if he could have sent an SCV out to the middle. I sometimes do that. I see a lot of other Terrans doing that. If you move out, you need to know what's coming potentially from the other direction. We didn't know in this case, so it only takes a small blunder in this matchup for either side to really all of a sudden find themselves way behind. And this is not looking good. Kinetic's managed to do heaps of damage, and on top of that, we were talking about being able to keep that bottom base alive, and he's been able to do that with solid offensive, just making it impossible for Neb to apply any pressure on Kinetic.
Well, lurkers on the way here from Kinetic. There are a lot of little science vessels, but I don't think it's going to be enough to hold, especially with the amount of lings coming. A couple more lurkers. So this natural's just pretty much forfeit, but up the ramp these lurkers go. So many Marines, the detection there. 2 of the lurkers go down. Lings coming in right now. Not only 3 medics to try and survive, but it's not looking good here. Irradiate's going down. Marines coming out of the barracks, but dying just immediately to these Lings. One Marine there to try and survive. And now all the Scourge. The Flight 12 Scourge. Jesus.
We got the kamikaze bugs, and they're about to make a bit of a show out of these vessels. At this point in the game, I think it's obvious to most people. The rest of this game should be bang, bang, bang. Left, right, good night. No, that's it. That's all she wrote. So, it'll be interesting to see if Neb, tries to. He does still have his command center. And, you have to respect that. Like, all of us. As a Zerg or a Protoss, you can make attacks where you feel like you do a whole lot of damage, and then all of a sudden 5 minutes later you realise you didn't actually kill a CC. Maybe you didn't kill that many SCVs.
How?
But all those vessels gone, man. It's just too big.
Yeah. I mean, that one science vessel just absolutely dodging all those Scourge. Now the 4th base getting taken. A couple of Firebats out to help as a couple of Lurkers going to try and run away. Cue the Benny Hill music as...
Yeah, it's a comical little... this will have to make it into the next OSL highlight, I think, just that little little chase of the Firebats on the Lurkers. At this point, look, you'd still say that Kinetic's comfortably in the lead, but he is throwing units away. There's been quite a few Lurkers over the past 2 minutes that have just been sort of sent to their death a little bit willy-nilly. Kinetic... He's got the experience to understand that Terran's not dead until they're dead. They're a defensive race. You need to respect it. So, Neblime's second base is back online. He did take a lot of damage, did lose a lot of vessels, but he just needs to maybe calm down a bit.
Well, now it's still 0-0 upgrades on these Lurkers. That's interesting. But this is the Fire Lord to spoil the day. Is Dark Swarm going to go down?
Yeah, now that we've got the orange cloud at the natural, and that's never a good sign as Terran. If you ever want to be fighting against someone that's using Dark Swarm, you want to be fighting them at their base, not at yours. So this is usually the beginning of the end for Terran when they see this. And Ned probably understands that. He's going to use this time to, he's got nothing to lose here. He might as well try. And he'll either claw back a miracle or he'll finish warming up for the rest of the games.
I'm starting to see. Oh, the whole position Lurkers.
Beautifully.
The Lynx around. Oh, the Lynx do get taken care of, but those 3 Lurkers are going to be a problem. And another 3 Lurkers are just going to be poking in at the natural. What there might have been plans for Neb to try and take 3rd at the moment.
He had the Firebats in the bunker. Certainly not useful against the Lurkers, but now that we've swapped them out for the Marines, looks like we'll defend ourselves relatively aptly against those Lurkers. But we've got a 4-base Zerg, Quirky. We've got a 4-base Zerg. We don't like that if we're our Terran player here. No. Especially if you're on 2. So it's bordering on a win condition. So if Kinetic loses here, something's really wrong with him. So
well, both the armies are just going to pass each other actually. 3 Marines and a couple of Mercs will find the standing army backs up, but Marine's going to be coming in to try and dissuade that. No Defiler here, so no Dark Swarm.
And again, it looks like another one of those instances where Kinetic, he knows he's ahead, he's really feeling it, but it's easy to just all of a sudden find yourself with no units when you do this, make these kind of attacks. They just seem a little bit unthought out. I would have expected in this scenario that Kinetic would just sit back and gain an economic and a tech advantage, but instead he's been overmaking Lurkers, for my opinion, and. Now all of a sudden Neb's on his doorstep. Remember what I was saying before, Terran wants to fight against Dark Swarm at Zerg's base, not at his base, and now we find that Neblime has an opportunity here to really wear Kinetic down at this top right natural. He can certainly get a few irradiates off, and it's got Kinetic in a position now where he has to be on the back foot a little bit, which is pretty ridiculous considering what's happened up to this point.
Well, Neb is going to push towards this bottom right base. as the flood of Scourge are on their way to try and help defend that, but the army has done a 180 and decided to go back to the natural.
Yeah, and we do see a Ultralisk cavern for Kinetic. So yeah, we do have the swarm sort of keeping the Terran army at bay. At some point, Kinetic is banking on the fact that he can just pump out a whole bunch of Ultralisks. But yeah, we're going to need that gas bank to be a little bit higher, and the vessel count is only getting higher as well. He's obviously trying to use those Scourged. Oh, nice plague there.
Oh, plague!
Plague. Very nice work there by Kinetic.
They're definitely going to be wasting the Angie, and finally Neb's going to take a third if he can land the CC. And only 2 Defilers and yeah, we need 1 Lurker if half the, army is plagued, but comes Science Vessels to do their irradiating.
It can feel like you're never gonna get through when you're Terran, and you feel strong. Like, I've got all of these units. I'm banging on the door.
Ultras are out.
You just can't get through. Here we go. The cows have come home.
And immediately gotta get irradiated.
Some nice irradiates. So very frustrating for Kinetic.
3-2. Oh, sorry, 2-3 I should say.
Are just gonna sit there and die. But we do have a few ultras at the top. See how these go? Got 2 bunkers.
Oh, there is a firebat in one of those bunkers.
There is. I don't know if that's gonna be enough. We'll see. Certainly taking 0 damage from the Marines. Oh, another nice play.
Flush onto that bunker.
This is turning into a little bit of a crisis for Neblime. I mean, he's got plague on everything up at this point. There's a swarm with ultras underneath it. He looks like he's going to go for a counter attack. Not going to work. Swarm and 3 lurkers. Nah, you're not getting through. No siege tanks, no vessels here just yet.
And I always hate this position as a Terran player, because it kind of feels hopeless. Because once those ultras get up to that high armor capacity, there's really nothing you can do about it. Especially if they decide to, backstab with a couple of ultras into your natural like that.
Yeah, it becomes really difficult when there's not just one group here or one group there. When there's all of a sudden the main group, and then you've got like the other groups that peel off and start harassing you at different positions. It becomes very, very overwhelming. Terran, you want to keep your army together, so you've got sort of a nice strong one-punch group of units. But this top base up here is just getting slowly eaten alive.
Oh. Scourge pick off some vessels as well, down to 4 science vessels left. Kinetic's going to be taking his 5th base towards that 3 o'clock position. So pretty much if this does stabilize in the next 5 minutes, it could be looking at a split map situation, as Neb is going for the expansion at the 6 o'clock, it looks like, as well.
Yeah, we have a pretty serious money problem arriving right now for Neblime. He's just mined out at his main and his natural now, so he is frantically trying to renew his economy by taking this place up at the top, and he's also got 9 o'clock, but I don't think he's going to be able to get them up and running. They're even on supply. Usually that's a lot better for Zerg than it is for Terran. So, I mean, you got to hand it to Neb. He's really made Kinetic earn this. Obviously, Neblime is one of those characters that sort of takes the mindset of, well, I know I'm probably going to lose this, but I can take some energy out of this guy. I don't have to just give him this win. I can sort of sit back. I know I'm a Terran. I can defend. I'm going to make this guy earn it.
Yes, and Neb once again defending that 12 o'clock location as best as he can. But here comes stack number 2. This time just Lings and Darkstorm. A couple of ultras are there. Reinforcements trying to make their way up. Oh, that plague!
That's an OSL 3 highlights. Highlight clip, that one right there.
So, Plego! Plego! There we go.
I'm glad you said that. I wasn't going to try, but that's why we got you here, Quirky. Now, the 107 to 73 is probably the biggest supply gap we've seen at this point. I'm surprised Kinetic's actually been able to command this game from a relatively low supply count. We're 23 minutes in now. Kinetic's 102 in supply, so it's interesting to see. He's got a unique way to go about it.
Yeah. But GG. As we are going into game number 2. There's going to be Kinetic versus Neblime game 2. And spawning up here in the 12 o'clock position, he is the Peach Terran from Australia. It is Neblime.
And in the bottom left, we have, again, our Olive Zerg. It is Kinetic, and it's going to be very interesting to see what happens on this map. Neo Sylphid, guys, interested to see some predictions, by the way. Get a bit of engagement in the chat there. Are you going for Kinetic? Are you going for Neblime? What's your heart say? What does your head say? Should be a cracker of a TVZ. And I think we're going to find out very, very shortly how this game's going to go, because that is a very early departure from that SCV, Quirky.
Yes, that is. And well, yeah, he is a good macro player, but if there's anything I've learned from our Broodwar Australia nights is that everybody likes to throw in cheese.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
Of course. And, you know, it almost descends. When the first person cheeses, the next person that comes in,
yeah,
you know, they're inspired by the cheese. When that smell just wafts up your nose, all of a sudden your brain gets taken over. It's like a fungus has infected you, and you just can't stop cheesing. And then everyone goes to bed because they're cracked the shits because they're just getting cheese all night. But this is a tournament. You can't just pack up your toys and go home.
I was going to say, or the cheese failed, and the person who goes next is like, I could do better than that. And then they try to one-up them.
That's it. Exactly. So it is not just an 8 racks, Quirky. This is
BBS.
BBS. This is the big bad shit, as I call it. And you know, this has the potential. Oh my gosh, this is basically the dream opening for Neblime. He's rolled the dice and he's rolled up Snake Eyes. So I guess, what can you say? Kinetic's going to be under an incredible amount of pressure here. There's 2 racks in the middle. They're about to start pumping Marines, and he hasn't even started his pool yet. This is going to be, you know, a big time problem for him.
You got the first scout as well.
There are ways to deal with it, but I think you might need an earlier pool. We'll see what happens. It's going to depend on whether whether Neblime has the, you know, the presence of mind to push past the hatchery if there's no lings and go for the main, or if he wastes his time trying to actually kill the expansion and give Kinetic a chance to actually produce some lings and sunkens in the main.
So Kinetic did leave an Overlord outside the natural, because he sort of think, I think he saw the scouting SCV come in from an awkward angle, and
I think he might have, yeah.
I was like, that's not where you're supposed to come from, and well,
and look, yeah,
as I said,
he didn't get distracted by trying to get maximum damage on the expansion. He's moved into the main. Now things are really dicey for Kinetic. This is a really difficult attack to hold. You know, even the best Zergs lose to this build. So it's all going to come down to Kinetic's response. There we go. So it's held up. I think that yes, he's got 369 minerals, so he did get the cancel on his expansion. There are ways you can follow up to this as Zerg. I've seen. I mean, he doesn't have a drone out on the map, but I've seen some pretty cheeky stuff where the Zerg makes the hatchery in the Terran's base, and that can actually be a really strong counter to that. But we're not going to be seeing that because there's no drone out on the map.
And there is no drone, and more Marines piling in. Let me starting to take off the gas and start damaging that gas.
I think we're okay. We're going to be able to get ling speed at the very least before that gas goes down. But you know, the main issue at this point is you've only got 1 hatchery. You can only make so many units from 1 hatchery. It's really a lava problem. Neblime's just going to keep on making Marines from 2 racks, and is 1 hatching up to make enough speedlings to deal with that? I don't know if I've been in that situation enough times to be able to say, but if we're wasting Marine on Sunkens, then there's definitely an opportunity for Kinetic here. So that little trade, definitely worth it for Kinetic. Neblime was under no pressure to do that. He could have just kept his Marines, get a really nice solid contain on that entrance, but you know, all of a sudden now we've got a whole lot less Marines. Bit of a brain hemorrhage there from Neblime. I don't know what he was thinking. We'll have to ask him afterwards.
Yeah, we'll have to ask him. But generally, I would like to see a factory follow up here from Neb. No, but instead, I feel like he's just going to get a couple more Marines. Try and push in. If it's anything like what we just saw in the last minute or so, probably sacrifice those Marines. But he has got that bunker to fall back to if Kinetic decides to make a whole bunch of Lings. Ling speed should about be almost finished now. So could expect to see just a Ling boss trying to come through.
Well, the big advantage from Quirky's perspective, sorry, not Quirky, that's you. From Neblime's perspective is he knows
I don't have to deal with this.
Is not there. Yeah, that's your advantage. Yeah.
That's my advantage. I don't have to deal with
them
this.
And not us. Yeah. But that gas, it gives that gas not being there makes Neblime doesn't really have to wonder what's going on. It has to be Lings. There's not going to be Mutalisks. There's not going to be Lurkers or anything like that. And so the world is his oyster, really. He can hold that choke. He can start. Probably would have had to start earlier if he wanted to go to something like 2-port Wraiths, but those kind of things are really good to follow up with in these scenarios because Zerg's pretty delayed, especially when that gas that is just not there. But he does have the gas up now. It'd be interesting to see whether he tries to stay on one base and get muted or tries to get lurkers. The choke is the issue though. Hey, we just had a raid from Love Snow 7. Thank you, buddy. Really appreciate it. I hope you had a good stream. Welcome to the OSL 2. This is the finals series of a oceanic competition that's been going for a while now. We're in our second season, so welcome everybody that just joined. We've got Neblime and Kinetic.
Just joining in. Yeah, and a special important point as well, as you were saying, the entrance to the main being that flat and not a ramp is very advantageous to Neb, who is getting his gas now, so he is going to be following up with possibly a factory. We still see no expansion, but I think he's still just pumping out Marines right now. And there's the Hydra Den, so Lurkers are on the way here for Kinetic, as here comes the Link Bust, but that SCV, and oh my god, it is just a massacre.
Mate grinder.
Oh, but the Link's starting to push through. Is it going to be enough for Links versus 4 Marines? It can fall back to the bunker.
Yeah, look, it's obviously was not necessarily the right choice, but you have to put yourself in Kinetic's shoes in that situation. You're sitting there on one base, you feel so claustrophobic. Your mind is wondering. It's just drifting, thinking, oh my gosh, Terran's teching, he's expanding, what is he doing? I can't just sit here and be stuck. It's a really tough situation to be in, so you can't really fault him for wanting to get out there.
Lings going past, they're going to get us around on those medics, but now there's Lings out on the map, and this is not good news. Oh, there's a Firebat, so that will help. Oh, Firebat does go down. My Marine there trying to do his best with micro, but does manage to get one Ling.
He's forcing the Marines to draw back. That's a bit of a win there for Kinetic. Options are now becoming more available to him. Don't lose that last Ling. Yeah, good. So keeping that last Ling alive to try and go get some information is huge. If he'd lost those Lings and then had no way to try and get any sort of a read on what Neblime has up his sleeve, that would have been terrible. We've got some more Lings coming in now.
So this is how the turntables. As now Lings come in. Gonna get us around on this factory that's building. SCV's gonna fall, and now the damage can start. Factory does get destroyed, no cancel. I'm pretty sure this is just going to be a Ling massacre here.
Yeah, it would have been good to get those Lings alive, but at the same time, he got a little bit of freedom in that moment, which has to feel amazing when you've been cooped up in one base for so long. Look, he got the information that Neblime doesn't have a CC at the NAT. I'm not as far behind economically as I thought I could have been. Yes, you've lost a bunch of Lings and there's still Firebats and Marines and stuff, but this is not potentially as bad as it could have been. So perhaps Kinetic might feel a bit buoyed by that discovery. gonna just be a nuisance in the main here.
Yeah. Ooh. Well, the factory is going to get up.
Yeah, we've got the factory. It's going to be you'd have to think the starport. Yeah, so we've got a starport. There was a little bit of a choice then that Neblime had to make. I mean, he had 400 minerals when he built that starport. It would have been very tempting to send an SCV over to start a CC. But at the same time, I guess he's pretty well aware that Kinetic is on one base and doesn't want to risk overextending himself on an economic sense and opening himself up to some sort of a weakness from a one base attack from Kinetic.
Mm. Well, the Hydras should be out pretty soon. So it's actually tapped over the stream. Yeah, no, Hydra's just as yet. It seems to be just teching up, getting more and more. Okay, Hydra's now starting to get made. Lurker aspect. Yep, finally. There we go. See one lurker out.
So I suppose the value of the lurker in this scenario, it's hard to say. Like, he's not going to walk up and start doing damage with a lurker, or even 3 or 4 lurkers with what Neblime's got sitting at his net. What that lurker is going to be more useful for is perhaps something a little bit more tactical. He could set that lurker up on Neblime's sort of third location, maybe do like a hold position type of tactic. Wow. Okay, he's placed that lurker inside his own base. It sort of tells you a little bit about the mentality that the Kinetic finds himself at the moment. He's incredibly withdrawn. He's going to send that drone up there to take an expansion anyway. But yeah, I guess like the map is very dark for Kinetic right now, and for a Zerg, that can feel a bit foreign.
Yeah,
okay,
definitely.
We've moved the lurkers up to the natural now, so that's a better spot to have them. And if you had map hacks, you probably would walk them forward and try and get some sort of a hold lurker tactic off. But you just can't know these things. He's got no lings. He can't sort of get them out there and get an understanding of the map. If he just moved his lurkers out there, he's worried that he's going to run them into a group of 12 Marines, which would be horrendous. Obviously, it would spell the end of the game. So at this point, though, still looks like Neblime did quite a lot of damage at the start, and it's starting to show now. I think if we look at the worker count, I think we'll find that Kinetic is still quite low on the drones, and we will probably see that Neblime has been steadily producing his SCVs.
Well, Siege mode looking to get finished up researching here. Is Neb going to be start pushing out with these tanks, Marines, and that one science vessel? That's all. 4, like I said, but tanks will outrange them, and they will have to retreat. And it's not looking good for Kinetic here. I feel like we're going to be going into Game 3 pretty soon. There it is. GG. Yeah.
GG. Well done to both players. Neblime's going to even it up here. OSL, it's no more. No audio at all for the game or the casters.
Well, this is a great time to advertise my OnlyFans. Oh, crap.
Jeepers, just when you think you've got a chance to talk without people listening, you turns it on us. All right. So, well, let's start again. We had in the top right, we've got Neblime from the ACT, the green Terran. And then in the bottom right, we've got the olive Zerg Kinetic from Victoria. So a bit of interstate warfare going on within Australia through this match. And it looks like we've got a pull first.
Yeah. I think it was an overpull, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm looking at the timing there. So, not a quick 9 pull, I think. But pretty standard as.
It's standard
as
non-hatch first build go. Yeah, so it allows you to get some lings a bit earlier. Usually, it means that Zerg wants to deny a bit of scouting from the Terran.
Yeah, but I don't think it's going to be helpful. Neb is going to get the first scout. Very lucky, so we'll see it is an overpull. Just getting taken right now. So he's just going to be chilling, being like, alright, I can play pretty standard here. Just have to be careful. Count the number of lings that hatch.
Exactly, and that's all you need to do in this position as Terran. It's not scary. You see that pool. You know, it's not a 9 pool speed. Obviously, the gas isn't up yet. You just need to see, is it okay? And he's going to see if he can get his SCV back over there. That it is 4 lings, 1 drone. Look, maybe that means that you need to be a little bit more tentative with your expansion. So maybe as Terran, you build it on the top if you're a bit of a nervous player. Maybe that just means you put like a bunker and a supply depot around the same time as your CC. But he's just going to chuck it down, man. Look at that. He just puts the CC down. He's got 2 Marines. Doesn't care about the 4 lings. I mean, why would he care? Those lings are chasing the SCV, and they have to do that. So, you know, pretty straightforward choices there from our Terran.
Well, the SCV is going to fall down. Will not see the any potential lair timings at this moment. So might send out. Yeah, is going to send out the second SCV, but I think the Overlord spotted that it's going out, so these lings may go hunting.
Yep, they're going to try and get that SCV. And look, Kinetic even anticipating that that the SCV might take an alternate route to get there. So,
but Neb did the old juke and jive. He fainted that he was going to go around, but
he just went straight through.
Oh, but these 2 lings. Oh, it does see that it's 4 lings. So there's 8 lings out on the map. So it does need to be careful. Supply depot going down. 5 Marines. 6
5 Marines plus a pretty tight sim. Very, very neat looking sim here for Neb. I don't see this amount of lings necessarily being a threat, but we'll see. The lings are going in. They've got speed. Okay, with speed that changes things, but no, it's too many Marines. The angles were too
micro.
He's just throwing lings away there. So very good for Neblime. He finds himself with a little bit of an early boon.
Well, the SCV, that second scouting SCV did go down, so don't think Neb saw the lair, and it is going to be a spy follow-up. So once again, going into mutas this time, and there's no BBS to stop him this time for Kinetic. But it's going to be interesting when that academy goes down, when the engineering bay goes down as well. Yeah,
so we just saw the academy go down now. We should see, I would imagine, the eBay go down as well very, very shortly. And you know, this is the 2 hatch Spire build. Well, we've transposed into that point. So, you know, Kinetic's in a very good position. He's like, even though he's lost those Zerglings, he's got the 2 lings scouting for any kind of a push out. He's got the unmorphed sunken colony, or creep colony rather, which he can morph into a sunken if it looks like Neb wants to push out and cause any grief. But yeah, as I was saying, the engineering bay has gone up. That timing is pretty good and normal. But you know, geez, it is a pretty quick spire for Kinetic. He's about to start making some mutas, and hopefully we can get some turrets up in time.
Yeah, the eBay, all about 150 health off. Third scouting SCV going to be coming in, try and see what's happening. But I'm pretty sure Neb's going to be okay. He's got, as you said, he's got that eBay timing down. The academy is going, Stim's getting research. Medics are going to be going on as SCV goes a dancing.
Well, he's not sending that SCV into the main, so I mean, it probably might not matter. He's making the turrets. He'll probably want more than 1 at the natural, but
well, he did see the mutas. I'm pretty sure ones that more from the natural. So
yep,
it should be all right. As festival mutas are going to get
little bit of a interception on the mutas with the Marines. Pretty cool, cute little positioning. I don't know if that was deliberate. Pretty cool if it was. But that SCV is going to copy that. Neb being incredibly active with his attempts to get information this game. He's sending out SCV after SCV. He does not want to be in the dark. He is insisting that he will not be claustrophobic this game. We've got now almost 3 turrets in the natural. Perfect sort of timing. He's really kind of lucky that Kinetic went to his 3rd rather than his nat, because there was only the 1 turret and things could have been a bit dicey. But now, look, he's just in a really cozy position here. This is a pretty standard sort of moment in the game where we're going to see some, what would you call it? Little bit of back and forth, bit of a dance, bit of an exchange of some hit points, and we'll see who comes out on top.
Yeah, losing a muta without taking down a turret there is So many SUVs are just dying to this. Trying to stay out here.
Well, maybe he's not on a scouting mission. Maybe he's accidentally rallied a command center to the middle of the map. I would hope not. But better Terrans than Neblime have made mistakes like that. As we know that when you're playing Terran, half the battle is playing Terran. So a lot of different annoying little things you have to manage. Units don't behave. True with all races, I suppose, but SCVs got to be one of the worst for it. But interestingly and worth noting is that Neblime has gone for a pretty quick factory this game, and we're seeing the starport come down incredibly quickly as a result of that. Think of it this way. That academy is flashing, and we've got a starport almost finished. So it's worth pointing that out. We're going to have a very fast either, is it going to be a dropship, or is it going to be... I mean, he's floating the factory. You have to wonder if maybe he intended to build 2 starports and one of them didn't make. Because usually if you go one single starport, you would get a machine shop and get tanks. But yeah, it looks like he did want the double starport. Maybe he either could only afford one, or it just didn't make. So seeing a lot of idle SCVs around Neblime's main. He needs to get on top of that. There's no point making all those SCVs if they're not going to do anything. But here we go. Kinetic trying to get some work done, but the turret's well placed, and the Marines are getting lots of kills. We're seeing some pretty purple mutas there.
We are Hydrogen up for Kinetic as well. Queensland's going down the third base as well at the other main, getting taken as well. So he's got 10 mutas out on the map with a couple of lings as well. But now here comes the push out.
Yeah, this is, again, like the first game, we've got a little power spike here, but in this occasion, we don't have a very strong counter-attack potential from Kinetic, so it's going to be interesting to see how he handles this scenario.
Sunken's getting morphed. The Hydras are out. Like Expert should be upgrading.
So Kinetic trying to use that high ground with the mutas to the best of his ability, but
4 Sunkens now. It's going to be the play.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you're making 4 Sunkens, you might as well send the 3 Hydralisks to bottom left directly, because the 4 Sunkens aren't going to get breached. You might as well send the Hydras over to bottom left, turn them into lurkers, and guarantee that your bottom left expansion gets up. But, I don't know, it looks like Kinetic's pretty confident in his ability to use the mutas, perhaps. Does he know that the science vessel is out? I don't know. But it doesn't have energy at this point, but he's going to see the vessel, and it does change the dynamic a little bit when it comes to taking these fights.
Well, you're just going to find a Marine, but again, another SCV. Marine does get sniped, as well as an Overlord right now. Neb's in I feel like, a way better position than he was in Game 1 here. He's not going to get backstabbed, it looks like, with these lurkers this time. But there is a pretty solid defense here for Kinetic. Hive is done. Evo Chamber on the way, and once I'm pretty sure he gets the minerals for it, there's going to be an Ultra Cavern going down as well. More Hydras getting morphed out. The Natural try and stop this onslaught from coming. Radiate should be done. There is enough energy. Actually,
attacking his own Sunkens there because he couldn't get his lurkers out. You hate to see it, but you got to do what you got to do. You can't spend an entire game with your lurkers locked behind your Sunkens. So there's only one science vessel. It's annoying to get lurkers irradiated, but it's not the end of the world. So he'll cop that for now. Another 3 lurkers have morphed, where he's making lings. So the increase of lings suggests to me that he wants to make a break for it here to try and get out of this. Zerg just does not feel comfortable getting sort of contained by this position. He's going to want a 4th at some point, and breaking out of this container is going to be a big part of that mission.
Yeah, lurkers are at top of the ramp at that third, so going to be a little bit more secure there at the other main, as these muses are just trying to hunt the reinforcements.
Yeah, I like that.
I'm 3 Marines. But he's going to find some science vessels and good to radiate on them, and that's going to be all the mutas going bye-bye.
Well, we've got enough energy on one of the vessels, so maybe Neb didn't click that specific vessel when he was looking for an irradiate, but his units are just kind of all over the place in this very moment. So if Kinetic had map hacks, he could certainly take advantage of that. And sure enough, he's taking advantage of those few Marines that are there. But then he ducks back out the way again. I think he's distracted by what's going on at his natural. Oh, that was close. We could have had a bit of a vessel massacre there, as what happened in the first game. Oh my gosh, that was a massacre. But
yeah, of the Scourge variety this time.
Yeah,
so 2 irradiates did go off. Fair one as well. So only going to be 2.
We've got a third one irradiated.
There's only going to be 2 lurkers left in this defense, but I feel like with the 3 sunks, and now the Defiler's out as well, it's going to be a bit tough for this defense.
I'll be interested to see if he takes advantage of the clumping and get. Well, he's not going to research a Plague quite this early, so I don't think a Plague is on the cards quite at this point of the game. He'll be frantically getting that consumability well before something like Plague. So, you know, he's only got 1 lurker left though, so we're going to need something. But he has the Lings. He can get a swarm off. He can hold off this army.
4 more lurkers on the way here. And one of the lurkers actually blocking the ramp, so basically these Lings aren't going to be going in to try and help. That's a bit of a problem there for Kinetic, but the Dark Swarms from this first Defiler are going to be pretty decent.
Well, I think the main thing is that those swarms served an initial purpose of you know, forcing Neblime to back off a little bit, and now Kinetic gets to enjoy an ever so slightly temporary increase in map awareness, but it's closing back in on him pretty quickly.
Scans being flung out by Neb to try and scout what's happening.
I mean, this game is actually starting to get out of hand from Kinetic's point of view. I mean, we've got Neblime making he's almost got a 4th base up and running, and Kinetic's still on 3 gas. So look, 3 gas can do a lot with gas.
So here comes the charge. Darkstorm going down. The Lurker's going to be very, very protected as Scourge. Going to find 1 vessel, going to find 2, but there's still 3 vessels here with a lot of energy actually. So they could actually do a lot of damage. Still 2 irradiates and going to be used.
We got a bit of a blunder there from those with those Hydralisks.
And the 2 lurkers underneath the straw mold, now just 1. And it looks like Kinetic is going to try and take his 4th now, up on that 6 o'clock location. And I do like this from Neb as well. He's got a small group of Marines and a medic down towards that natural at the other main to try and keep Kinetic from expanding there towards take his 4th. Now here comes the push from Neb towards the natural once again.
Yeah, it's looking like he's managing to maintain. Look, Kinetic is building a bit of strength, but Neblime's not being pushed back that far. He's still applying the pressure, and Kinetic doesn't want to have to make these kind of pushes constantly. It's not really feasible. And as you said, the small army that Neblime is keeping over at the bottom left, it's, you know, I mean, it's textbook PvZ, but he's doing it really well. It means that Kinetic can't just go and make a base there. He has to pay attention to every little thing that he does. That's really frustrating for Zerg.
Last 1 carapace done for Kinetic as well, but 2-1 done for Neb here as Irradiate's going off onto those Defilers.
That hurts. That's where you've been investing most of your gas up until this point. And, you know...
4th does get denied as well, but here comes a push out from the 3rd. Try and take control of that low ground.
Yeah, this is really good. Kinetic needed to do this. He lost 6 o'clock, so if you don't take something else in place.
Oh, D-Matrix Marines going in, and this is the push into the natural.
That's a big one. He's taken advantage of the fact that he sees that there's no more lurkers here. Not only no more lurkers, there's no more Defilers. So without those Defilers, this base is naked, boys. We've got absolutely nothing here to deal with this. It's GG. Kinetic, what can you say? That was just perfectly played by Neblime. I'm so impressed with how solid that was.
Yep.
Cool. All right, so without further ado, I think we have players ready very quickly for Game 4. They're both chomping at the bit. They want this Game 4. No mucking around. We've got match point, people. match point.
Not on game 7 though.
Well,
so,
let's introduce our players again. First, we've got the top left. Sorry, the top right is our Olive Zerg Kinetic.
And in the top right, the yellow Terran, this time from Australia. He is. Sorry, the blue Terran. He is Neblime. Now, Swami, I know I was talking with this yesterday with Saskia. Do you remember that ladder map a couple of seasons ago? It was a 2-player map, same tile set as Match Point, but above, so slightly, if we're looking at Neb's Nat,
you are
the
talking
right,
about benzene.
It wasn't benzene! It's not benzene!
Which one are you talking about?
So it was a 2-player map, but on the right side, it had a bit of a high ground. On the right side of the natural, it had a bit of a high ground.
That is the most. You are describing the most benzene map that has ever.
It's not benzene. I swear, it's not benzene.
We're gonna have to We're gonna have to agree to disagree. This might be some sort of like a Queenslander take that maybe that map that sounds exactly like benzene is not benzene. Where I'm from, that map is benzene.
I forgot to check the list of maps after.
All good. Well, I'll let you have that one.
It's not benzene, Zeski.
Well, I mean, we're only minute 26 into the game, and we can see that it's not going to be an 8 racks. So nothing too crazy from Neblime. The entrance to these mains just makes me a little bit sick, to be honest.
The entrance to the natural makes me a little bit sick, to be honest.
I think the whole map makes me sick.
I mean, we did see Kinetic play on this map against Biagster in the semi-finals. We found out that the mineral is not wallable. That little mineral at the entrance.
That's right.
Lings can run by that, and it will ruin your day.
That was a beauty. And yeah, I suppose we have a little bit of time to reflect on the previous game. That game went exactly as I would expect the first game to have gone if Neblime did not get counterattacked. So, you know, as I was thinking after that first game, you know, a little bit of an unfortunate tactical misstep in the first game cleans it up for game 3, and sure enough, you know, he just looked so strong. We've got very standard single racks expansion making 1 Marine. The expansion will go down very shortly for Neb, and for Kinetic, we've got the very well developed, almost complete expansion with a spawning pool also closely behind, and the gas finished. So again, looks like both players just backing themselves in, a lot of trust in themselves and their fundamentals and their abilities to get the job done. But it's going to come down to, I guess, perhaps some map-specific tactics. It'll be interesting to see if either players have got something up their sleeves for this map. I've actually played very few TVZs on Match Point, I have to say, and I'm not quite sure how the Mutalisk Harass works on these naturals. It looks kind of like you might have like you know, like some horizontally spaced turrets and also some vertically spaced turrets, and that's a big part of what makes your turret defense either good or annoying when it comes to the way your SCVs behave. So it'll be interesting to see whether that plays a part as well. And then if you think about, if you have a look, I mean, maybe I just haven't been paying attention, but I haven't seen any Zerglings except for these ones that have just appeared now, these 2 Lings. So, you know, and we're not seeing any move out. I don't think a move out is super duper viable for someone in Neblime's position here. It seems like it takes a long time to get, let me have a look at the map a bit more. I suppose, yeah, you can do a move out and force some more units, but it looks like Neblime at this point pretty content to just sit there. He's making a bunker. Whoop, he cancels.
Well, he wasn't. Okay, he didn't have it in the right position, looks like.
Yeah, he's
also, I don't know why I thought Benzene had a different name. I just looked it up.
It's the map, isn't it?
Yeah, it is the map, but...
Right, you can buy me a beer later.
I swear it was called a different name. So look, it's...
You thought it was Match Point.
No, I didn't know. I knew it wasn't Match Point. Didn't have a goddamn mineral at the...
Yeah.
I swear it had a different name, but you know what? It was a while ago. I'll take it.
It's definitely been a while since that map was was in the pool. It
So-
was the
ooh,
same
so it's
season that had Sakura's Temple, which, as we were saying before, was like
yeah.
basically when, you know, my children weren't even born.
And
yet.
Ringing Bloom. And Plasma.
That's right. There you go. You're reeling them off now. Your map knowledge
No,
has
no,
just come
because I
to
have the
you.
Liquipedia page open.
I should have known.
And Optimize as well, which I actually liked Optimizer. Because it was that...
As
was
as far as snow maps go, Optimizer was pretty good.
But speaking of this game,
Yes.
it is a 1-1-1 coming in from Neblime here. So
yes.
it's a build we've been wanting him to do for a little bit now. It's a build that he is a bit known for. That he has been practicing a little bit.
Yeah.
And Connect does know this, and he has got that Overlord in between the main and natural to try and scout.
Yeah, I think it's going to be, you know, somewhat difficult for Neblime to surprise Kinetic with anything, except, look, if he runs out of lings by getting him killed by all these vultures, then might be difficult if he has no. But you know that's
There's no sunken. There's no sunken at the natural.
It's okay. He's got the mutalisks, but interesting. Just like Neblime seems just a little bit vulnerable in this moment. It's not that he can't defend against mutas. I mean, he does have turrets, but what that means is, like, if you've got no units and they're coming out one by one, and there's a bunch of mutas that are, you know, thirsty for some kills, you get in this situation where your units spawn and die. So we don't want to see it get to that situation quite instantly. But as I was saying earlier, Kinetic's micros become shelling peas for him. It's just nothing. He just gets it done, and there's only one turret. He's not going to be concerned. Here's the Valkyrie. The Valkyrie has come in to save the day, and yeah, that's enough to scare him off. It'd be interesting to see if he follows up by getting some Scourge to try and take that out, or if he handles it a different way.
Well, Nag has been saying in chat that he has been grinding this against Jin Jin.
Yeah.
So it is going to be interesting to see what his follow-up is, and it does seem to be looking to potentially be just straight Scourge. Yep, Scourge have been hatched from the natural.
Yep. So, and very often in these situations with the Terran, you will see that they will just try and go for that one extra attack with the Valkyries, and they end up with their Valkyries stuck out in no man's land trying to hunt for that one last greedy hit, and then the units just come in and kill them. So we'll see what happens here. This is a critical moment. What's going to happen with these Valkyries? We do have the turrets underneath supporting. Losing one Valkyrie, not
the worst.
If he
And there's only 4 mutas left.
That's right. He's actually taking care of this pretty well. Kinetic, in the meantime, taking the base top left. It's going to see. I'm interested to see how he defends that, because we do not have a den. We don't have any kind of abundance of Zerglings. How does Kinetic keep this top left base alive once, you know, we start seeing a few extra units? Well, the barracks is lifted. We're not seeing any Marines. I'm interested to see what Neblime is going to complement this with on the ground.
He has got 1 vulture in main. He's got 1 out on the map. Mine's is done, so... But it's going to be difficult for him to try and find a spot, because there is 10 mutas out on the map. So vultures can be a little bit hard to keep alive, and now the Zergling's coming in. He needs to land that bunker just to be safe. 1 Valk. Has he got a second Valk coming? Doesn't look like it. Oh no, he's got 3. There we go. They're in the...
No flashing on the starport, but we do have the 3 Valkyries. You have to wonder if Kinetic is making these lings because he's identified that Neblime is super, like, overly hard countering the air, and so Kinetic's going to come in with some link to try and clear things up, because the ground army for Neblime is a bit of a weakness.
But there is a mine out. That 1 mine. Connect trying to bait those Valkyries in.
You want to get those Valkyries pulled away from the turrets so that you can try and exploit their isolation and use the Scourge, because those Valkyries do pause for a long time if you don't micro them properly, and it is very difficult. But we do finally have the Hydralisk Den is up for Kinetic, so we do now see a glimpse into the future of what things are going to look like from his side of the map. He's not going to be on these Mutalisks forever. I think he's finally, conceding, okay, you're obviously countering air incredibly sharply. I'm going to have a follow-up here that does not include mutas. But we have a vulture left. It is going to have an absolute field day. If it's microed correctly, it's going to get surrounded here. No, disappointing. So taken care of relatively easily by those drones, sadly for Neb.
And two Volks heading straight... Vultures. Sorry, 3 Vultures heading straight out towards that map. Ooh, good mine.
Who's this other spider mine? No, the spider mine doesn't do any damage. I think. How do you think that plays out for Kinetic on the balance sheet?
I feel like that was a good trade for him.
Yep.
I mean, Lings are pretty much your disposable unit. I think he only lost a couple of drones to that, like maximum 3.
Yeah.
But yeah, +1 carapace on these mutas now. So it is going to be a lot of muta Scourge Ling, it looks like.
Yeah, he's very invested in that.
These Vulture run-bys are going to be absolutely annoying. 5 Valkyries out now.
Well, I suppose
Workers on the field as well.
Isn't it? It's the luxury that you provide yourself when you really hard counter the air of Kinetic with those Valkyries. You then have the freedom to sort of do these types of Vulture raids. But it looks like Kinetic's pretty well defended against these kind of harassment attempts from now.
Yeah, it's got those three Hydras blocking the ramp. Towards it, so... Overall, I'd say pre-standard game, Neb's getting looking to set up his third with those mines out towards that little choke towards the 12 o'clock there. But instead, he is just going to take the 3 o'clock base instead. And now here comes a big air fight. Scourge, going to connect him to some of these Valkyries, and only 2 Volks left.
Huge attack there by Kinetic. He really handled that well. And he doesn't actually have +2 carapace at this point. It is the +1 carapace for the Mutalisks, and still managing to whittle down those Valkyries to, I believe we have none. Do we have no Valkyries? We have one Valkyrie. Right. So, Neblime, perhaps he's okay with that. I mean, if your only objective is to get the third, and you've got the 3 turrets and a single Valkyrie with some SCVs repairing, maybe that's okay for Neb. Maybe that's one of those situations where you take the loss of the Valkyries, but you only care if you lose the third.
Well, the follow-up is coming now. A whole heap of Hydra. It is going to get spotted by the... Ooh, good connect. Takes out 3 of those Hydras with the mines, and immediately these tanks are just going to inch forward to try and cover off this this third base here.
It looks like we've had heaps of Mutalisks added. Kinetic just really pressing the issue of, hey, I am going to win the air. We've got the...
Ooh, good irradiate.
Mine shots, the irradiate is good.
But there's just too much here. But the ground army does get cleaned up. Now it's only just these Mutalisks.
Yeah, in this position as Neblime, you just feel like, well, that felt like it was going well until I didn't have anything for the Mutas. And what do? I mean, you can try and pump out another Valkyrie out of your single starport if you like, but what do you wait for, I mean, you do, I suppose, always have an irradiate coming in about 15 seconds, but look, I think Kinetic's secured his own third. He's denying the third of Neblime. Neblime is doing a very expensive build, and so without that third, the follow-up's going to be difficult. It looks like it's a pretty solid position here for Kinetic.
And the third is going to get denied, slowly floating over as best as can. Goliaths are coming out now, so it's looking to be classic. They're repairing SCVs, so they're going to repair it in time.
Mech Warrior has arrived. Oh.
Looks like that third is going to be saved.
And Kinetic must be wanting that command center like never before, but he has to be patient. Yeah, he can get it if he's patient.
Yeah. +1 attack on these mech units, so ground upgrades. No upgrades on the ground units, but good split there from Kinetic. Oh, but it's went over the Hydra list there for a second, so it did do a little bit of splash damage, but
it's one of those things about playing Zerg, mate. It means every single unit that you have is biological, so Well, his units are not attacking in unison, but he's attacking all together now, and I'm pretty confident that Kinetic is going to deal a very winning blow here. Whether Neblime leaves is a different issue altogether, but...
Well, he's got Valk out now. Oh, good irradiate!
Nice irradiate, but it was a pretty low meter already. Oh, that Valkyrie just cleaning up those meters, getting pretty decent efficiency with that.
Yeah, now no more mutas, it's just pure Hydra. And oh, look at this! Kinetic's taking his 5th. He's double expanding at the moment. So he's taking the 9 o'clock, but he's also taking the 12 o'clock.
Yeah, and I think as Neblime in this situation, that could be very sort of front of mind. You're in this position where you're thinking, okay, I haven't lost my command center. I've still got some units I'm technically defending, but I'm pretty sure that Zerg is taking the whole map. That doesn't feel good, but what else are you going to do? You have to try. So decent again, irradiate, but Kinetic just pulls that Hydra out of the group to prevent the bleed pretty well. But Neblime's taking this base.
It's just going to be pure Hydra reinforcements at the moment. So no more mutas getting made. Double Evo chamber started as. See if I try to click on one Hydra. Still no upgrades on the Hydra in terms of armor, carapace, and attackers. Oh.
I'll be interested to see if we've got Overlord speed as well, because he must be aware that after what's happened so far, that mines are a big part of this game. And here we go.
Oh,
yeah. So he needs to. I don't think you can necessarily respond to Neb's build by going Hydra if you're not going to have Overlords everywhere.
Oh no, it's going to be Queens instead.
Well, it looks like we do have the Overlord speed as well, by the way, so we can blanket the map with Overlords if we want to.
But it is going
how many Queens is that? That's 9 Queens. That's pretty good. So they're going to take a while to just sit there and wait for the kettle to boil. And once that's done, they'll be able to rush in, and we should see a few tanks go pop.
But that is floating a lot of minerals here, so might see an influx of maybe some bolts to try and help with the defense. Nice Queens. Also going to have the benefit of the +1 air carapace as well.
Yep, and bottom right, we've got that base very quickly denied by the 5 Hydralisks. Really fortuitous that Kinetic chose that specific time to send those units down right as that was making. Really, really nice. He's going to be loving that. He has to be feeling really good at this position in the game. I mean, I know that Neb has that 3rd base, and a mech Terran on 3 bases can really, really stretch themselves, but the main's mined out.
So he has to go long distance mine here, which is going to be a bit of a problem. But he has taken control of the high ground between the 3rd and the 4th a little bit, even though it's only 1 tank. Now it's got a backup tank there, but its main defense seems to be towards this potential 4th.
I think he understands that it's like he either takes a bold move like this and tries to do something that he knows he probably can't, or he just loses the game, right? So he knows that Kinetic is just blanketing the map, and if he doesn't try to spread out and claw back some sort of an economic parity, then he's just dead in the water. So you can't blame him.
Well, the setup is there for Neb towards this high ground, and just so many mutas now have 1-1 compared to the 2-0 of this mech army. Still no armor being researched. It's a bit concerning for me, but here comes the first Queen. That's it, just going to parasite that one Goliath. And here we go, here comes the second Queen. Going to Broodwar that forward tank.
Killed the parasite in Goliath. You don't want to do that.
Oh, both the science vessels going down here. But the Goliaths are cleaning up.
doing
they're
fantastic. I think you know, Kinetic's
There's 12
donating
units.
a few units there, but these planes are going to do their job any second now.
Oh, here we go.
This is what we're talking about.
Oh, no, the
Completely.
miscontrol.
That was a bit of a brain hemorrhage from our Zerg favorite, but look, he's so far ahead, it's just not going to matter. The amount of Hydras is just insane. You have to commend Neblime for throwing out, you know, what is already his third distinct build compared to previous games. So he probably did the same build in the third game.
The Australian bag of build, Terran.
Exactly right. And look, this is a huge amount of Hydras. What is he going to do?
Ooh, Valkyries for these queens, but yes, against this many Hydras, it's not really worth it. Yeah, and I think we're going to get tied up again here, Swami.
I think we will.
He's going to go down. Kinetic in just such a commanding position, up over 50 supply. On
That's never good as Terran if you've got a Zerg opponent that's up 50 supply on you.
Oh! Infested TC! Somebody call Dead Infested! He got it!
We've got some bloated boys on the map. Let's go. And you know what? Infesting a Terran's command center, it sends a message, Quirky. You have to admit, it sends a message. It's a little bit like mind control, isn't it? In the message that it sends.
Oh, there's no minerals. There's nothing at this natural. Try and help the fan. Vultures are coming out to try and save the day, but Neb, he's pretty much dead in the water, and now that CC has landed.
We're gonna see some explosions.
Do you think we'll see an explosion before?
No,
Neb,
well, I think GG. That's what I was going to say. The counter to invest the Terrans in this scenario is to just GG and deny him the opportunity of sending an even more offensive message of actually killing your units with your own. Take us away, Quirky. Who have we got?
Well, we have here spawning in the bottom right. The blue Zerg, who currently just tied the game. Make some noise, chat, for he is Kinetic.
In the bottom left, we've got Neblime, our Terran from the ACT, and he's going to try and get his second OSL title tonight. And, you know, good on him. He's made such an enormous effort to get here twice. Once in the inaugural OSL, and in this one. So what an absolute beast! You can't take anything away from him, no matter how tonight goes, can you?
No, I think you can take anything away from both these players. They have played so good in all their games. They've tried their best. They have defended with all their hearts, attacked with a ferociousness that I've never seen in any players.
They're really bringing it, and you know, the fact that we're at the point where it's 2-2, I think speaks volumes. It's a bit of an indication about, you know, a few things really. One, how good these players are. Two, how much they respect one another. Like, we've seen a lot more standard play this game than we have. In this series than we have. Jesus, we had that one BBS. So
that was it.
These players, you know, they're just willing to just play. They just want to play Starcraft against each other, you know. It's great. You love to see it.
You might as well count this as another, you know, practice session for them. But
exactly. It looks like that, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, there's going to be 12 hatch opening here from Kinetic.
Yeah, standard as you like.
Yeah, everything's standard. Never take that away from those guys. As Kinetic actually set his Overlord this time to the top.
Interesting. Just changing it up, just keeping Neblime on his toes. I think Neblime probably knows that he can't use the scouting trick against Kinetic, because his Overlord scouting pattern is so random. Honestly, I think Kinetic just chooses on a whim which direction he's going to send his Overlord, which, you know, that's cool. That's kind of a Kinetic specific thing. It's kind of his signature. And we've got, like, obviously a pretty standard build out of Neblime as well.
Yeah. So 2 SCV Scout coming in from Neblime to try and see what Kinetic's up to, and it just seems to be just standard pull gas timing with the 12 hatch. So pretty standard. Pretty. I'm not going to say boring because it's the start of a game. It's always going to be this boring enough.
Well,
Unless it's a
like think of it
BBS.
is when you have standard games, you're just delaying the
Yeah,
excitement, right? You're just not. I mean, there's
Like-
so many sort of dirty analogies you could make, but let's keep it clean and say it's just sometimes it's good to just delay it a bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we've got, no bunker, which is pretty cool. I like that, Neblime, it just tells you that he's not just following some sort of a robot sort of track of steps, like I make this and then I make that and then I make that. Like he's done his second scout, he's seen that there is no threat of like a 9 full speed. I don't need to make a bunker. So this is not some like low level stuff. This is like these players are both making intelligent decisions and incorporating it into their build as they go. We have the second racks going down for Terran. I imagine we will see a gas pretty shortly and an armory. I mean, a academy.
Academy, yeah. Plus, Neb is also seeing that lair timing. Oh,
right.
Does see
right.
the
He sees the third hatch.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say it's gonna be 2.5 meter again. If it feels like.
Yep.
It's going to be interesting to see what Neb decides to follow up with. What we tries to do the maybe a delayed Valk build with 2 racks. Not the standard 1-1-1 that we have been seeing him practice a lot during this time. And a 5 Marine move out here, I like it. Pre-colony getting put down. Overlord out at the natural. We'll see this.
Yeah,
okay.
Neblime is responding to his scouting with like scary levels of correctness. Like when you scout that third hatch, you know that Zergs, they've invested in that hatchery. They're not going to be making a whole bunch of lings as soon as the pool comes up. So he sends out those four Marines, and then he just backs off.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really, really good, sort of fundamentally sound play.
Yeah. And Nag saying, in chat saying, saw the 2.5 hatch with no ling speed, and now comes the marine pressure like clockwork and puts a sad face.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Neblime just understands what is the recommended or the prescribed response to certain situations, and you can tell that benefits him, obviously. That's worked for him really well in the first game, other than that counter-attack, obviously. He does make the bunker. I think he probably could have lived without the bunker, but you don't want to lose the 5th game of the series because you didn't make a bunker. So, yeah.
And against that many lings, you don't want to take any chances.
That's right.
Deb is going to scan.
Scanned, yeah.
Yeah, and did see that it is 2.5 hatch muter. So he's feeling pretty good himself. Going to throw down the 3rd racks.
Yep.
And the 4th racks as well. Stim on the way. No turrets being set up in the main just as yet, or in the natural. He's
placing his preference on getting those the 3rd and 4th barracks up, and now you can see the turrets going down. Which is, look, the muters are out. We've got 6 muters. So, look, if they're about to get there, so. Could be an issue, but we'll see. The Marines are out the front too, so I think Neblime has to either just like feign an attack towards the Nat to force the Muters out, or he needs to send them home to defend.
Muters come out hunting, grab a couple of Marines there, as well as an SCV that was taking that 2nd missile turret.
Yep, and Neblime has 7 Marines out in the middle of nowhere, and when you're Terran, 7 Marines is just not very much, and you really feel like they're just destined for terrible things. Here we go, they're just getting cleaned up, absolutely no problem. Those medics are going to get cleaned up too. I've been spending a lot of time talking to Kinetic on the topic of ZVT and how important medics are, and if you can kill medics, do not underestimate.
Oh, there's nothing in the bunker as well.
No army for death. What's going on?
Dev's macro is slipping a little bit, but there's 2 turrets up on the high ground are helping a little bit. As that bunker is going to go down, so no real defense there for Neb, as he has got a bit... only 2 of his racks are flashing, so he's not getting as many Marines as he can, but he is just trying to survive right now. Third turret going up. So it's going to help defend. More mutas on the way here.
Yeah, I think Neblime has identified he's just kind of leaning on turrets a bit too much. He feels like if I can just have enough turrets, then the mutas just won't be a problem. But when you do that at the expense of SCVs and Marines, you kind of create a problem for yourself as the game goes on, because those mutas aren't going to reduce in size when they start out with an advantage as they have in this game.
And still 10 mutas, now 9. 2 dropping so far in this attack, but so many Marines and SCVs have died trying to save this. Now only just the first starport starting for Neb here. Oh, turret just gonna get up in time, but only 6 meters remain. Just one more joining, but it's already damaged. Third going up for Kinetic up into the top left as well. So we are starting to see Kinetic going into full swing of things here. And I feel like actually that the turret placement around the racks, where it was more focused towards the north side of those barracks rather than towards the right, didn't really help Neb that much, because with the positioning of the mains, you feel like the mutas are going to come more from towards that right side, as all the eBay might go down here. One SCV repairing, 2.
That eBay is doing work. If it gets killed, we are down an upgrade for a long time, folks. But we do have also the Hydralisk Den in the bottom right for Kinetic. So, I mean, that's pretty much as you would expect. He has taken top right, so he wants those lurkers to defend.
Oh, Ling attack in the back.
That eBay is dead, folks. Unreal. We don't. That's so good. You can't lose with +1. That +1 is forever weight. He's basically never going to get +1. I highly suspect that the game is close to over at this point, folks. We do have the starports going up, but what's the point? What's the point in the starports going up? You've got Lings in your natural, you've got Mutalisks babysitting the ramp, and trust me, as a Terran, you have Mutalisks babysitting your ramp, you just want to ult QQ. It's tough.
And Ling's flooding in as well, not doing any favors here for Neb towards his natural. It's just so wide open. SCV's trying their best to drone drill, try and repair the turrets. Marines coming down from the ramp, try and save it. Only 4 mutas remaining, but now the lurkers are on their way.
Yeah, we've got 6 lurkers.
6
so interesting to see whether
8 lurkers
trying to drag all of those lurkers the entire way over to Neblime and try and just drive the final nail in and really end him, or is he going to send 2 of them up to the top right, just do a little bit of defending, take a 4th, blah blah blah, play a little bit more of a safe game. I'm really interested to see what happens here. Looks like he's sending those lurkers through the south, so but we do have the 2 bunk. Geez, he's good. Neblime, even like considering the positioning that he is in, he is making the bunkers. They're going to get up on time for these lurkers. That is sick.
Yeah, he did see the lurkers come in, being morphed at the natural, I think just barely, but now here comes the attack. Never going to stim, get into those bunkers as best as he can. All the mutas are down. Now we're in a PvZ with a lurker contain.
And this is a position where, you know, hopefully Kinetic has realized that he saw a floating factory, which means there is no siege tank coming. And it is actually well and truly within the realm of possibility for a Zerg to make lurkers faster than the Terran can make irradiates, and then they're never getting out of there. So let's see how this happens, whether or not he does that.
Yeah, irradiate only just started a couple seconds ago, I think. So it's not going to be up. It's going to be a bit tough for Neb to try and break out of this. But Jack, all he needs to do is just keep Neb contained. Neb's not going to be able to take 4th unless he, floats it over towards, the mineral only towards the right, or that 6 o'clock base. But even then, you're going to be in big trouble.
Yeah, and I think there's one of 2 ways you have to go when you see this contain get set up. Either you land that factory and you make a siege tank, or instead of making 6 vessels, you make 4 vessels and you get a couple of dropships and try and get some kind of counterplay going. I mean, look at Kinetic's bottom right, like his main. There's not really if there was a dropship coming anytime soon, it does big damage. You can't ignore that. So, I think Neblime probably paying too much respect to a position that can't really threaten him if he sits still. Like, it only threatens him if he moves out. So maybe a drop in that position is a little bit more sensical.
Here comes the first set of Scourge, but ooh, does actually manage to get one vessel.
And that's really, really huge, because in this kind of a position when there's not really many other units to target, then you shouldn't be losing vessels in that position to Scourge.
Viola on its way. Here, consume, done.
We're going to see a Storm go up, and then that might be all she wrote. Let's see how well he can control it, though.
Has got fire bats in towards those bunkers. Here comes first Dark Swarm.
Yep, throw another one directly to the left of it, you would think. Oh, it's been irradiated. He's got to get that swarm down quick. There we go.
There it is.
Now we want to see those lurkers get up and walk straight in. Here we go. Hello, Neblime.
There's a second defiler here. Fire bats in the bunker, and actually, these bunkers aren't really getting targeted as best as they could. But all those lurker spines now really doing some damage.
Yeah, when you've got 8 lurkers, it's just very, very quickly do they do their work. So, they're going to move even further into the natural now. It's hard to imagine what Neblime can even do, even though he does have those 5 vessels. They can't irradiate forever. As I was saying, you can make lurkers faster than Terran can make irradiates. So, very well recognized by Kinetic.
Yeah, one more bunker going down. One more Rax going down to try and help with the situation. Natural's going to get lifted up. It looks like game 1, although not really a backstab, more of a contain this time before Dark Swarm. And all those SCVs going down.
SCVs, that is an SCV graveyard.
Oh.
That's where dead SCVs go to die.
Scourge coming in to try and take it. One or more Defiler here with full energy. So that Scourge are just going to go onto Factory, try and deny it. There are, actually 7 science vessels here, but none of them, I think, have the energy to radiate at the moment. And I think Neb is just going to be, consolidating his losses, thinking, all right, what can I do better this time? And we're going to be going on to match point here for Kinetic.
That's right.
Here comes the science vessels. Radiate's going off as best as they can, but there's so many units here. It truly is the swarm. As these racks are going to get focused down. It's only going to be 1 racks left as lurkers do burrow underneath. Stim going out, but it's not going to be enough. 42 lurkers do go down. Another radiate going off,
but yeah, obviously in this position, that's all she wrote. But Neblime, that's been a bit of a theme for Neblime. He does not go down without a fight, and it's going to be a matter of whether this is actually something that bothers Kinetic or not. I can't imagine it would. When you get to this sort of point in the game as the victor, you kind of just enjoy playing it out. It's almost like clicking continue after you get the victory screen a little bit, but it's the same time for Neblime. It's just fun to kill the units and practice the market. No more units, so he's forcing Kinetic to actually make the win happen. You have to say that much.
And actually with the good play.
We've got the
lurker underneath the factory.
Unfortunately, they took so much damage from the lurker. Uh-oh. Yeah, and look what's coming from Kinetic's natural. I mean,
oh Jesus!
It's just when you think you've weathered the storm, the next one is bigger and better and more decisive, and just a little bit more. Here
comes the Scourge. Oh, okay, GG, but good micro there at the end, and
yeah, well played both.
Ugh. Well, Swami, here on Good Night. You might be saying good night to this player spawning in the top right. The Red Terran. from Australia, he is Neblime.
Yes, that's right. And in the bottom left, we've got our trusty, ever so solid, ever so tricky Zerg from Victoria. It's Kinetic. Let's see what we're going to get out of these two players this game.
Now, I don't expect a BBS this time, even though Goodnight has a decent mid-map position for it. But on a 4-player map compared to the other one, Silphid, I always get them too confused. I don't know why. And because I just played them the most interchangeable ones from the latter season. But it is just looking to be a standard openings from both these players.
Well, it's early days, but we do see the supply depot, which tells us a lot. And you know, when you have a game where you start with 4 workers instead of as opposed to 12, you get a lot of information from that kind of a thing. So it is a supply depot, but we have a spawning pool from Kinetic, and this is an overpool. He did make an overlord. It's going to be interesting to see whether that, you know, is a little bit of a waste like it was in the other game. You have to remember, Kinetic lost the other game where he went overpool. So maybe with this being a bigger map, it's going to be difficult for somebody like Neblime to sort of push across the map and put pressure the way he did on the Polypoid game. But in any case, I think Kinetic is, you know, more than good enough, as we've seen, to handle whatever comes at him.
Mm-hmm. And opposite spawns as well, so it's not. So Kinects are not going to be pushing as far as he did do the overpool opening here. So it's not as likely that we are going to see, you know, just straight Ling speed pressure.
Yeah, and it might be interesting once Kinetic realizes that it's cross map. If he just decides, you know what, I'm not going to get Ling speed. There's not a whole lot to get done with Lings in a cross map sort of scenario where, you know, Neblime hasn't done anything crazy like go CC before Rax or something like that. But we do see the scout went down. The scout went down. So it's 4 Lings, which, you know, if you've only got 1 or 2 Marines, that can be an issue. But I think we'll be fine. Neblime's bringing down a couple of SCVs. I like that. He's not overreacting. It is only the 4 Lings. The Lings do take out another SCV. That's a big deal this early in the game. We have the command center going down on the high ground.
Kinect's going to go up this ramp, see that couple of Marines and SCVs. I'm not going to be able to attack that as much as I want. So I'm just going to macro up as best as I can, try and deny the placement of this natural as best as I can. It's going up to his lair now, so it's looking to be, you know, that 2.5 hatch build again. It looks like, as okay, drone's just transferring there. But definitely,
yeah, it's interesting to try and like emulate what you think the players are thinking in this moment. And you know, Kinetic would have loved if those Marines stayed home because when you do go overpool and you see that Terran is not exploitable with it, you just want to make drones. You're like, I've made these Lings, but now it's time to drone. And so when the Marines start threatening like this, not really what you want. You don't want to be making more Lings. So, but hopefully Kinetic can call the bluff and, you know, just keep actually making the drones, because it's when you don't want to make Lings and you do, that's when you're in trouble. And we just saw a couple more drones pop out. So it looks like Kinetic, he's not falling for it. He knows that, you know, that's an empty threat from Neblime with those brief little Marine move outs, and he's not going to cop too much of an economic hit. He's refusing to, and that's good. We like to see that. That's top play for Kinetic.
Well, good denying the bunker getting built there, but CC will land. And Neb's actually going to get that scout off. Does see that it is Spire, but not 2.5. But it is so far just 2 hatch build up. Yep. And he is moving out with these Marines now.
He's bringing them back. It looks like these couple of Lings, you know, is enough to make him change his mind. They do have speed, so it looks like he did go for the speed, even though it's cross map, and we see that, you know, Neblime's being conservative. He still did decide to get the speed. But on the other hand, this is a 2-hatch play. This is not 3-hatch. And I find 2-hatch play on cross positions pretty interesting, because obviously that does take a little bit longer to get mutas to the opponent's base, and Neblime has all the information that he needs.
It's Tim starting now, and Sixling's going to go across the map to try and harass a little bit and keep tabs on when this army's going to push out now.
Yeah.
So he's going to go in, poke a little bit, see what's happening. Does see a bunch of Marines. Sees no turrets yet. Debate is done. SCV going in for a scout again, just to make sure that it's not, a surprise switch to maybe a 2-hatch lurker play.
Yep. He's been really good with that reconnaissance. You have to give it to Neblime. He refuses to play a game from the dark. He just will not do it. And sure, you can say that he's lost a few SCVs in the process, but sometimes information is worth 4 SCVs. If that means that you get to play a game where you're 100% prepared for what your opponent's doing, can anyone really say that it's not worthwhile? I don't know. I would definitely like to play with this amount of information.
Yeah. Either that or you get map hacks, but I don't want to be that guy.
Nobody wants to be that guy.
Yeah.
That's for sure. So it's 5 mutas, 6 mutas at this point. So he's just deciding to go in with that amount. We have Marines hugging a turret. That should be enough to deter 6 mutas. 6 mutas can't really challenge that. But as always, the group of mutas, it only grows. So we'll see how things go as the group increases.
Ooh.
And finally we have somebody in the chat that's cheering for a specific player. We've got the lucky noob. He wants Neblime to take this game. So I hope for you, the lucky noob, I hope that Neblime does take it, because that's going to give us our 7th game. But at this point, we've got the top left base is just finished hatching, and funnily enough, as we've been talking about how good Neblime is at scouting, Neblime doesn't know about that. He probably suspects it, but he doesn't. He's not like fair income full-on aware of it.
And eventually you'll get your comsats, which is going now. 4 turrets about to be 5 in this natural.
I don't like that last turret that's building now. That turret is a problem for you can see that SCV's gone round the back to mine that mineral. That turret is worth cancelling. It's even worth killing, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. He's actually going to kill the one above it because that's blocking the comsat. Fair enough. Neblime perhaps feeling the pressure of his opponent being on a match point.
Well, to be fair, if you're down 1-0 and your opponent's on match point, you are going to play a bit overly cautious. I
think
like.
so. But I'd love to know what your thoughts are on. Is the right thing to do to just try and shirk that feeling? Do you just try and play more aggressive? Do you try and just throw everything at the wall in that scenario, or is he doing the right thing to be so cautious?
It depends on what your playstyle is, and Nebs is that macro-oriented. I'm just going to play pretty standard. Going to get my timings. I'm going to get them, caught on time. There's nothing you can do about it. Unless, you go all in against me. And with 11 meters, it's a bit all in, but it's fair base for Kinetic up and running. He's just taking the gas at the moment. 4 drones actually on that gas. It's a bit
4
funny.
drones on the gas. Well, you can't have too much gas. But Neblime just attacked his own CC, so that might be a microcosm of things to come, but hopefully not. We do have the floating factory over the turrets. That always helps. And we've got some Lings running up the middle. I think, what's Kinetic's thoughts at this point? Is he worried that these Marines can pose a threat at all? I don't know. I mean, his muta micro has been pretty classic Kinetic style. He's getting massive damage done. I think these Lings are just a way of him saying, well, if Neblime moves out, I'm
just going to backstab, yeah.
Yeah.
And with the mutas posing at the front, it can be a bit of a problem here. +1 attack is done. +1 attack on the mutas is actually done as well. So it is going to be a bit of a micro battle here. Kinetic decides to just send everything in. He has got lurkers morphing at that fence in case, Neb moves out, which he is at the moment. He's just posturing to move out, and
Mound just went down.
And Neb's just being very, very cautious right now. He's throwing down a second bunker. The muta's coming in, sniping a Marine.
And I wonder if that second bunker only exists because he scanned the Hydralisk den. But really, in this scenario, the lurkers are not really the massive.
Oh, here we go. The surrounding links and the mutas.
Those mutas just sitting on top of Marine fire. Those Marines are absolutely chewing those mutas up. But enough damage done that Neblime's army is. You could say that army traded well, but at the same time, does he have anything left over that is capable of going and pressuring a base? Nope.
No. One Evo chamber, still no upgrades on these ground units of Kinetic. He does like to take his upgrades a little bit later, so no real crazy Zerg, as Overlord's going to get picked off here. I think that was the Muta Micro Overlord, if I'm not mistaken. Now, Scan just detected that last lurker. It's moving over towards that potential. And okay, Neb's taking his 30s, copying possibly a little bit of a potential Zerg player and taking that
the medics are at a
main
position,
base,
which is so classic of TVZ. Doesn't matter who's controlling them. It seems like the Marines will follow your commands and the medics will just go, no, today's my RDO. But looks like Neblime finally for the first time this game has a little bit of a cohesive ball of power that he can abuse and try to get some stuff done, play some tactics. But these lurkers are moving up into the middle, and it's a pain. We do have 4 vessels though, so 4 vessels. A few irradiates have been spent on mutas, and this is one of those situations where you just think, maybe I could have beaten the mutas without the irradiate, and then I'd have the radiates now for lurker. But you can't know these things in advance. It's very difficult to play. But again, I wonder if this is telling us, as we kind of learnt on the match point game, that there's room for Neblime to play some kind of a dropship play against Kinetic.
Radiate going down onto one of the lurkers there to try and soften up the position. More lurkers coming in from the natural, and the sandwich here of the army. He needs to get out of position, needs to run away as best as he can, but he's trying to trade against these lurkers. Does pick off the right side lurkers.
That was a fantastic trade. Neblime could not have hoped for much more than that. The way that the second set of lurkers came in and just took that extra few seconds to get the job done allowed Neblime to really punish. Neblime's got 1,300 minerals in the bank. He can just start really pumping stuff out. You can say that Kinetic's got 3 bases to Neblime's 2. That's pretty even. So if Neblime can actually apply pressure to his top base, if all of a sudden a couple of people probably sick of me saying it, I really want to see some dropships from Neblime, because I feel like Kinetic is gaining advantage by assuming the absence of dropships, and that's really helping him.
Now Neb setting up towards this third base. Has got the vessels there. Energy starting to accumulate on them.
We still have energy on another one.
Oh my god!
Can he click him? Oh, he did. He does click another one. The stacking, not 100% perfect.
But look at this army of Kinetic coming up the middle right now.
Yeah, that's an intimidating force. We do have the 2 bunkers, but that's just so many lurkers, lings, mutas. Let's see what happens. The mutas obviously with the +1. The +1 carapace on the ground unit's now also going to be instrumental. Neblime frantically trying to get back to his main. What does he do?
Hey, that's
one of those situations where you feel like Stim does not make your units faster in this scenario. You feel like they're taking absolutely forever. This is insane. You just want to get your units home, but now you see the Dorito cloud go up and you just think, what on earth am I supposed to do here? The lurkers have reached the point of the natural. That's always a very big deal for Terran. This is painful for Neb. He was just getting ready to apply pressure to top left. We saw that he was readying the lurkers. All of a sudden, 2 seconds later, lurkers in the main. They're going to get the SCVs. What does he do?
Well, he has got the vessels there, and he is just going to attack with the SCVs instead. Try and get them down as fast as he can, but so many SCVs are falling. Now it's even on supply. Marines coming in one by one from the racks as best as they can. So many SCVs have fallen. Upper radiate going down. Ling's coming in to try and help. Natural getting lifted up here. The main army is actually cutting off the reinforcements now. There is another Defiler with 2 Lurkers coming in. Scourge as well on their way. Neb's actually got a third up. And I do actually like this from Neb. If he can clean up the main army, they need to actually get in and try and clean up the rest of this force. As just those 5, 6 Lurkers just being absolute menaces.
So, yeah, I mean, I would love to just be able to, you know what the SCV count is at this point. Basically, that is the determining factor as to how playable this scenario is. We do have a pretty sizable army moving up for Neblime, but 1 Lurker making it pretty difficult for those Marines.
Dropship's going out.
Yeah, we finally see the dropship. It's like I think I wanted it so much that Neblime felt it through osmosis, and he was like, you know what, 2 dropships is, I'm feeling 2 dropships, so maybe it's too late though.
Yeah, the Lurkers are cleaned up in the main right now. Oh, Burrito Cloud.
That's okay.
Ooh, science vessels!
Ooh. Oh, they get the dropships. You know what? Kinetic knows just as well as I do that dropships are the one thing that have not exploited him this entire series, and he's not going to let it happen this game. 2 dropships, dead. That's not happening anymore.
Lings running across the map now. +2 carapace done. Ultra Cavern completed as well for Kinetic. This is not looking good for Neb. Right now, our current OSL champion, he is on the back foot right now. Can he make his way back into us, take us to a Game 7? Are we going to crown a new OSL champion? Now Lings go in, but underneath the Dark Swarm. Oh, the Snowball Dark Swarm. Oh, good Plague! Onto the Marines there. And now here comes the rest of the army. They're just going to back off, irradiate a Lurker.
Yeah, so I think in this situation, Neb needs to have a really strong focus on the preservation of his army. The second his army takes too great a loss and he gets reset back down to a low amount of supply, Kinetic just takes another 2 bases, and all of a sudden he's on 5 gases, and there's absolutely no coming back from that. Another thing I would really love to see is if Neblime could somehow just like peel off 2 of his vessels to try and go to an eraser. You're in a position like where you need to take those kind of risks just to try and claw back some kind of advantage. You might as well give it a red hot sort of shake of the sauce bottle. But we've got some more Lurkers coming in through the top, trying to just change up the angles a bit. Is he going to burrow them? Looks like he will get them down, but Neblime is just going to run the SCVs away. Are we going to get any kills on them? Ooh, we're killing some Marines. Lurker goes down. Then we've got the Ultras in the natural.
Not looking good here for Neblime. Just even these 2 Lurkers at the third aren't going to be doing you any favors, and you're spending those irradiates on the Lurkers and not the Ultralists. Now we're going to have to fight SCVs getting pulled away. Ling's getting into the main. Couple of Marines there to try and help, but now Marines getting onto these Ultras, but there's not enough army here. GG! Your new OSL champion, Kinetic! We'll take it!
What an absolute champion. I think none of us could have been angry with whoever won. We've Neblime's had the win of OSL 1. Now we've got Kinetic. Really unlucky was Kinetic last season going down against pretty talented Nagnar. And he managed to get through those group stages, get through the round of 8-4, and then finds his way to the final and really shows that, no, you know what, I'm top dog. I'm winning OSL number 2 as a winner. But Kinetic, welcome. You are the second winner of the OSL tournament. How do you feel, mate?
Yeah, I'm pretty hyped, man. I had a banana after that second game, and I think it got me pumped up.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah.
The potassium.
You seem to really sort of take control after that point. I mean, I know Neblime took that second game on Silford with the BBS. What was going on through your mind when that happened?
I knew it was coming really early. I saw the SCV and I knew it was going to be some kind of cheese. There's no reason to scout that early otherwise. Yeah. But I made a few mistakes there. I cancelled my hatchery at my natural, and I didn't save the drone. And I pulled the drones from my main. I lost like 3 drones.
Yeah.
And obviously then the mass Ling flood. There's probably no need for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably should have gone up to like Lurkers or something.
Right, and so you spoke about how you had the banana after that game, and that gave you a fair bit of a pump up. What about before this whole thing started at all? How were you feeling at that point? Before, like, do you feel like, I'm really prepared, I'm relaxed, or were you feeling the jitters a bit?
I wasn't feeling too nervous actually. I had a feeling it was maybe 60-40 in my favor to win, but I was trying not to be too overconfident because I know Neb is a really good player, and
Yes.
so he can easily take games off me, and he's 3-0'd me before on a certain day. So I
Yep.
just had to be sure that I was kind of playing my game and not allowing him to get into his.
Yeah, and another thing that I was talking about a lot during the cast was that there was a distinct, noticeable lack of dropships from Neblime. And now, in my practice games with you, Kinetic, I'm sure you would attest to, the games that I do pick off, usually there's some dropship play involved. Is the lack of dropship play from Neblime something that you were aware of going into this series, that you felt that you did not have to worry about too much?
So I actually did have overlords out on the map, and I made a few extra scourge throughout the
Mhm.
games to make sure that he didn't drop me, especially in those games that I felt like I was in control.
Mhm.
And so I feel like even if he had have gone drop ships, I would have been prepared for it.
Yeah, well, you did tend to have a lot of mutas out a lot of the time, as well, as is pretty characteristic with your solo play. Do you have anything to say to Neblime specifically?
Yeah, really well played, Neblime. I mean, it was a great series and definitely my toughest opponent so far. And hopefully we'll meet in the next OSL,
Yeah,
wherever it
cool.
may be.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got one question. That game 4 on match point. When you saw it was the Valkyrie play, Nag mentioned that you have been grinding that relentlessly with Jin Jin. So what? And we saw it was the +1 carapace with the Scourge and Muta plus Hydra. But once it's a goal afterwards always to get that mass, just pretty much once you lose the mutas is just to go straight mass Hydra.
So after I fought him a little bit with a muta, I did a scout at a certain kind of timing where I saw his factories. And at the point, I knew that he was going to go mech. So he's got two options, mech or bio. So if I see more barracks, then I'll go to Defiler play. And in that case, I put down the Queen's Nest and got Broodlings. So it was based on the scouting information I had. But yeah, I've
Yeah,
been
nice.
grinding that, so I felt pretty comfortable with that game as soon as I saw the Valkyrie pop out.
Well, congratulations on taking the victory, Kinetic. You are now the very illustrious winner of 130 Australian dollars. I'd like to thank Quirky for casting alongside me. I'd like to thank Bugs Bunny for being the instigator of this tournament entirely. I'd like to thank Neblime for his valiant effort in trying to maintain his position as the king, the crown holder of the OSL. And I just want to say that I'm so excited for OSL Season 3. I think we're going to get more players, we're going to get more money into it, and it's going to be an absolute regional sort of fireworks show. And